Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome back to our Best of the Rest series. If you haven't seen these videos before, we talk about most of the cards spoiled in Oath of the Gatewatch that weren't covered individually. Sometimes some pretty cool cards get lost in the shuffle. In this video, we'll be talking about all things blue. If you missed our first episode on white, here's the link. See, I'm all about pleasing you. Let's get right into it. Abstruse Interference is 3 mana for an instant with Devoid. Yes, I know it's Devoid, so it technically doesn't have a color, but it costs blue mana, so it's in the blue episode, deal with it. Anyways, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. You put a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion token onto the battlefield. I don't know. This is like Frightful Delusion, but you get a Scion instead of them discarding a card. I never used the Delusion in Innistrad Limited, and I'm not sure I'll use this here. At best, we're looking at a sideboard card against giant draft decks where you need this to punish them for tapping out. Blinding Drone is 2 mana for a 1/3 Eldrazi drone with Devoid. You can pay 1 colorless and tap it to tap target creature. And Limited Bomb. This thing is nuts and a common. I will pick up as many of these as I can in a draft. Never underestimate the power of tapping down your opponent's creatures. You can really mess with tempo that way. Look at it this way. Blinding Drone can effectively stop, well, anything from attacking. It's 2 mana. You just need colorless and boom, you've basically turned off one of their creatures every turn. It's incredibly powerful. Cultivator Drone is 3 mana for a 2/3 Eldrazi drone with Devoid. You can tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a colorless spell, activate an ability of a colorless permanent, or pay a cost that contains colorless. As expected, Wizards isn't leaving players high and dry when it comes to colorless mana. Cultivator Drone is a fine filler creature as a 2/3 for 3 with a relevant, colorless fixing ramp ability. I really like this, and it's a common. Definitely a sign that it shouldn't be too difficult to get a few colorless producers if you need them. It's a good card. Gravity Negator is 4 mana for a 2/3 Eldrazi drone with Devoid and Flying. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 1 colorless. If you do, another target creature gains Flying until end of turn. And another limited playable card. 4 mana for a 2/3 flyer is alright, but granting Flying to something else, possibly a huge Eldrazi, yeah, this is going to be useful. Probably better than Chasm Drake was. Big fan of these common cards that can actually see play. Blue seems good so far. Slip Through Space is 1 blue mana for a sorcery with Devoid. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, draw a card. I like 1 mana cantrips. I especially like 1 mana cantrips that let me make my entire team unblockable with Zada and Standard. Just saying, if there was a chance for a Zada deck, it could be soon. We already have Expedite, all the copies, all the triggers, all the everything. Zada Masked Creature unblockable deck coming in hot, we'll see, I'm curious. Thought Harvester is 4 mana for a 2/4 Eldrazi drone with Flying and Devoid. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, target opponent exiles the top card of their library. Come on! Don't get me wrong, I love blue, but wow, these cards are all decent. 4 mana for a 2/4 flyer is a giant brick to flying attackers. It has another upside in addition to that, one that enables ingest from Battle for Zendikar. Remember, all the limited you play is likely going to be part Oath and part BFZ. Ingest will be around, and this Harvester just enables that for you. It's insanity. It's so good. Ancient Crab is 1 of anything and 2 blue for a 1/5 crab. Let's look at some flavor text here. After the fall of Seagate and the draining of the Halimar Basin, the crab set off to find a new home. Oh, that's so sad. I'm sorry, my crab friend. This is just as sad as that movie I saw about the dogs who got lost and were trying to find their way back home. Wow, I'm kind of sad now. Containment Membrane is 3 mana for an enchant creature aura with Surge costing 1 blue. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. A few things going on here. First, that Surge ability is so cheap, it's a nice value. Second, the card doesn't tap the creature. That's the problem. Of course, Dehydration didn't tap the creature either, and that was fine and limited, so was Paralyzing Grasp. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with it. Containment Membrane is going to see limited play, as it should. It's pseudo-removal. Cyclone Sire is 5 mana for a 3/4 elemental with Flying. When it dies, you may put 3+1/+1 counters on target land you control. If you do, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste that's still a land. Now this is a cool card. You get a 3/4 flyer for 5 mana. I've seen a lot worse. Not freaking out, but not terrible. Getting to awaken something on death, not so bad. Think like a mini Thragtusk, like the miniest Thragtusk of course, but you get my point. This leaves behind another creature that has to be dealt with. Assume not everyone is playing flying creatures, so removal might take this down. At least it leaves something behind that may force your opponent to 2-for-1. I say 2-for-1 because late game you might not care too much about the land you just animated. At some point it may just be dead weight, with this card relevant the entire game. Grip of the Royal is 3 mana for an instant with Surge costing 2 mana. Tap target creature, it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, draw a card. I like. This is a strict upgrade to Crippling Chill, which is definitely a compliment. I really like that card. I like this one too. You have the ability to cast it cheap. It time walks for you sometimes by tapping down something huge for 2 turns, and you get a card. 10/10 limited playable. Negate is back. Cool, it's a nice art. Yay? Roiling Waters is 5 of anything and 2 blue for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures your opponents control to their owner's hands. Target player draws 2 cards. Everyone meet Roiling Waters, the next in a long line of gigantic blue limited spells. Sea God's Revenge did just fine, and even though it was a bit cheaper and easier on your mana, and let you unsummon an additional creature, this is still playable, especially with the high cost of creatures in this limited format. You also get to draw 2. It's a huge bomb. Could definitely be first pickable, even in its blue dependent state. Sweep Away is 3 mana for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If that creature is attacking, you may put it on top of its owner's library instead. Really can't deny it. Blue is looking ridiculously powerful for limited. This is another pseudo time walk effect, sometimes even denying your opponent a draw. I loved Whisk Away, and I'll love this too. Incredibly powerful. Wow. Unity of Purpose is 4 mana for an instant with support 2. Untap each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. This is definitely not a blue card. Everything about this screams white. From the support to even the untapping. Normally that would be a blue thing, but it only untaps creatures with a +1/+1 counter on them. Granted, it has synergy with itself, still seems more white than blue. Also that flavor text, WWGD, what would Gideon do? Anyone want to make some wristbands? I'll say what we're all thinking. Blue looks crazy, like outrageously powerful. There are so many cards that ruin your opponent's tempo while gaining you incremental advantage. That's exactly what blue is all about, and Oath is going to show us that. In my opinion, way better than white. Way better. Blue for days. Let me know in the comments what you think about the blue cards in the set. Do you think it's as powerful as I do? If not, let me know why. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Oath of the Gatewatch spoiler information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Wow.